Welcome to the North State Rocks podcast. This episode features Bailey Small, who's a Fall River High School graduate right here from Northeastern California, competed in just about every sport you can imagine all through high school, ended up getting a scholarship to go ride saddle bronc in Oklahoma, and now is a PRCA card holder and a pro rodeo athlete and chasing his dream of making NFR in 2026. You're going to love this episode. Thanks for joining.
Welcome to the North State Rocks podcast. Discover the hidden gems and extraordinary people of California's North State region. Join Perry Thompson, CEO of Hat Creek Construction and Materials, as he explores the vibrant communities and interesting neighbors that make our region a great place to live, work, and play. Tune in, be inspired, and rediscover the North State. This is your community. This is your story.
Well, hello, everybody. Excited for today. We've got Bailey Small, Fall River High School graduate and current PRCA rodeo pro athlete. So great to have you, Bailey. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
So Bailey, Fall River High School graduate. So North State kid, Northeastern California kid. Tell us a little bit about your background in high school and community support and some of those things, and then kind of how you landed through your college career and on to being a pro rodeo athlete.
Yeah, you bet. Well, thanks for having me this morning. It started out, I went to elementary school in Bernie for 2 years, and then I got transferred up here to Fall River. I went through Fall River Elementary all the way through Fall River High School, graduated there. Then I proceeded my education to Panhandle State in Goodwell, Oklahoma. As soon as I finished up there, I decided to continue my education at Tarleton State University in Stephenville, Texas. Finished with a master's degree there, and I continued my rodeo career all the way through and all the way into the PRCA. Now I'm a full-time card holder, and it's been great. You know, the community from the time that I was a little kid playing sports all the way through high school, there's been so many businesses and people in my corner on our sports teams and all the way through to where I am now that have continued to push me, my teammates, or full team, the whole realm of things, and continue to push us to be better. And it's been absolutely awesome. And having the opportunity to go from a high school level to the college level and the collegiate as a rodeo athlete, it just benefited me to where I am today with the PRCA as a saddle bronc rider. I can't give more credit to the people that stood behind me, like my coaches, the community members, all the way into college with Robert Etbauer being an awesome coach and mentor. And then continuing down to Stephenville, Texas with Mark Aiken. He was absolutely awesome. He provided everything that we could ever need as rodeo athletes. And on the educational side, I mean, you're held to a standard to be able to compete at the collegiate level as well as high school. And, you know, it pushed me to want to be a 4.0 student through my master's degree. And I did achieve that goal. That was a pretty big one for me as a student in high school that was a BC student to get my master's degree with a 4.0. That was pretty awesome to be able to achieve that and hit the grindstone. And we also went to the college finals. I went 3 times individually, but as my last 2 years at Stephenville, we went and we had one kid, he won the nation in the saddle bronc riding, and both years we had won the team finals. So that was a pretty cool achievement. And we all had the academics to back us, and we were all top tier athletes in the collegiate level. It was pretty awesome to be a part of a team like that.
That's incredible, Bailey. You know, there's a lot that you said there, but I kind of want to pack just a couple things. One is remind, you know, I know, but remind the audience here what sports you played in high school.
In high school, I played football. My freshman and sophomore year, I played basketball and wrestled. And then I played baseball and ran track as well, along with high school rodeoing.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So 6 sports, if you count rodeo, right? So football, at one point, I know you didn't do wrestling the entire time, but at one point you were doing football, baseball, wrestling, basketball, track, and high school rodeo in the middle of all that. Yeah. Yeah, you're a little younger than my youngest son, Zach. And so I'm very familiar with, watching you through high school. In fact, you played with Zach football and in basketball. And Yeah, I remember you as a younger one going 100 miles an hour at all times, never stopping. In fact, the biggest challenge I heard your mom complaining about was I can't get him to do homework. He's always so damn busy doing everything else and all the practices and all the sports and driving back and forth to all the sports and all the events that, quite frankly, there wasn't a lot of spare time to even do homework. So, yeah, you telling me that you ended up with a 4.0 and your master's program is quite an accomplishment, Bailey, because I mean, I know your parents well, and there were moments of exasperation where they loved having you in all those sports, but they were like, we might have to pull some sports from this kid because I'm not sure if he's going to make it to the next grade at the current level of trying to squeeze in homework with all the stuff you had going. So that's a
Yeah,
pretty
I could
remarkable journey.
remember it was basketball and wrestling season. So I'd go to basketball practice at 3:30 and I would go to basketball for an hour, and then I didn't have my driver's license, so I would leave practice a little early and run across town to the fairgrounds, go wrestle for an hour. And mom would have some horses and some calves down there at the pavilion. As soon as wrestling was over, I'd jog down there and get on my horses. We wouldn't get home until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Geez, I'll do homework at school tomorrow. And you know how that can, you know how that can go. I
Yeah,
was
I'll
getting
whip it
enough
out
done to,
the 10 minutes while I'm eating my cereal in the morning.
that's right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just take a moment and reflect. One of the beautiful things about attending small schools in small communities is that, every coach, there's not, they don't have 100 boys from each class to pick from for, or 1,000 boys from every class to pick from to round out their sports teams. So pretty much if you have somebody that's athletic and wants to do a sport, the coaches are figuring out a way for you to participate in that. I kind of contrast that with a lot of the bigger schools where kids are almost forced, if they're athletic, gifted enough to even play, then oftentimes, most times in these bigger schools, they have to hone in on one sport and they have to dedicate 12 out of 12 months to, yeah, the season is maybe 3 months long, but the other 9 months they're preparing for that season. So they're good enough to start and to play a lot. So just reflect a little bit about how, in my mind, I know it was crazy, but there's got to be a lot of gratitude, and it probably made you, I'm thinking, a much better pro rodeo athlete, just having the kind of vast variety of different sports and different things developing you in so many different ways, if that makes sense. So can you talk about that for a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. It is incredible that being in a small town like this, the coaches were so willing to let you be a part of two different organizations or even three at times with, so we'll say basketball and wrestling and rodeo. And basketball is definitely a team sport, right? Like you have to depend on your other four players on the court in order for your plays to work and to be successful on the court. But it all starts with the coaching, and with the coaching being willing to let students or athletes become multi-sport athletes. It was pretty incredible that they let that happen, and they strive to make sure that you're going to be the best you can, whether you're here at practice for an hour or 45 minutes. We're going to strive and make things the best that we can possibly make them. That way, when it comes to Tuesday night or Friday night or whenever the game or the tournament is, that we're prepared and we're going to strive to be the best that we can be as a team. And that was pretty incredible. Being a part of the wrestling program was awesome. I mean, we had a great team, we had good coaching, and they pushed each other just as hard as we did in the basketball court. So having those, they're very different, because when you get on the wrestling mat against your opponent, it's you versus them. And well, when you get on the basketball court, it's you guys are working together against the other five players. And the coaching staff, I think, would be a huge part of that, because they understand the bigger picture of it and how to make it work all together. But being willing to let student athletes go from one to another in the same season was huge for me. It really benefited me going into where I am now as a professional athlete, because when we go do a practice or we go get on practice stock, you know how to build off of one another. And it
Yeah.
continues to push you, like whether it's in that practice or it's in entering the rodeos or the strategic planning to make a circle of 2,000 miles in 4 days and stop at 5 rodeos. It all kind of works together and continue to push to where we are today. And it all started as a freshman in high school. And I'd like to say thanks to those coaches for not only giving me the opportunity, but continuing to push me to be the best competitor that I could be in each one of those sports.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the other thing I don't think people realize. You were really got to participate in every sport you had participated in. Your teams were really good. It's not like you guys were ever, bottom of the barrel. And not only were you juggling all of that, you were in the team sports and even wrestling, because I know that's individual, but still a team. You guys are still trying to win league or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, in season. All of your teams were really, really good and really dominated during that time. So yeah, it's a testament to the small community. It's a testament to you. It's a testament to your work ethic. And yeah, I think one of the shining examples of what's great about small communities and small schools for sure. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about, you mentioned earlier, you got a saddle bronc scholarship to go to college. So I didn't even know that existed. I didn't even know, I know rodeo is a college sport and it makes sense. But there's a lot of money invested in rodeo. Like a lot of people don't realize, what it takes, to even put on a rodeo. Just getting all the stock for you guys to ride is a huge expense and a huge logistical challenge. And they've got to be great bucking horses, and they can't just go grab some from the barn and bring them down and have them perform, right? So the fact that there's scholarships exist and there's horse trailers and thousands of miles that you guys are putting on from place to place, and you're not just hauling kids, you're hauling, I recognize in your sport, you get to show up with your gear, but there's a lot of other sports that require the horses as well, team roping and some of those other disciplines. So again, I'm shocked that scholarship thing exists. So tell me a little bit about that. How did you get noticed? And if other kids are, in a small community, how do they follow Bailey's path? What's the best advice that you have to follow and chase their dreams like you have?
Yeah, so I always wanted to ride saddle broncs. I just loved it. Loved seeing the horses buck as hard as they do and the athletic ability of the stock itself. And when I was a freshman in high school, I told my mom and dad, I said, I don't know what we need to do. I don't know where we need to go, but if I'm going to pursue this and continue with a future in it, I need to get a little bit of further education on it. So my mom and dad, they got to looking on schools to go to, and it actually was in Oklahoma at the college, Panhandle State. And Robert Etbauer, he's a Hall of Fame saddle bronc rider. He's won the world a handful of times. They put a school on out there, and my mom said, well, let's go to it. So my mom, I think my grandpa went with me the first time, and I actually went 4 years to that school every year, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year. And we flew out there. We went and checked the school out a couple times. After I went the first time, I said, I'm going to school for that guy. Robert Etbauer, he's one of the greatest of all time. Why would I not put myself in a position to become what he is under his supervision? So I ended up going to school for Robert, and he's seen my progress from the first time I was there to the last time I was there. I seen him at the high school finals twice, and he gave me the opportunity to go to school there and cover some out-of-state tuition and some schooling and stuff like that. And I would say by the time I was a junior in college, he'd seen that how hard that I was working as an athlete, whether it was roping calves or riding broncs. He actually even got me back into riding some bulls again. And I was going to the college rodeos, and I was a part of the top 6 guys on his team. So we held a standard as teammates to push and to be the best one on the team that week, and it went back and forth. There was a handful of guys out there that they were top tier athletes, and there as well, they're running down the PRCA trail as well. So going down that path really just boosted us and pushed us to be better, and it held your work ethic to a standard. And Robert Etbauer, I would say, is the biggest push of that coming out of high school.
At one point, things weren't going great in college, and something changed. And you were like, really got reinvigorated when I want to be the very best. I want to make it to PRCA. And I might not be remembering that exactly right, but can you reflect on that a little bit for me and on what I'm remembering there?
Yeah. So as soon as I graduated high school, I had I just got a new pickup. It was a 2004 Dodge. I hooked it to the trailer, put my 2 horses in, and I drove 22 hours to Oklahoma for school. So I get out there and I don't get to go home and have lunch with mom and dad or go home and do some laundry or whatever. I mean, I kind of threw myself to the wolves like that. And
Yeah.
my first year, I graduated high school at 120 pounds and just a little guy in a big ocean out there in Oklahoma. And I got out there and school was kind of tough, and the living conditions that I thought that I was in were like, geez, I don't know about all this. And I was spending more money than I was making, and it got tough. And I called my mom. I said, I don't want to do this no more. I want to go home. I haven't even made it a year out here. I don't know that I even want to be a bronc rider anymore. Mom said, you stick it out for 2 years and we'll reassess this situation. So I get through that year. I come home for Christmas, and the summertime I came home. I went back out there. Through my sophomore year, I was like, hey, this is getting better. I'm glad I'm doing this. By the time my sophomore year was over, I had seen some tragic wrecks that had happened with some friends that they got in a car wreck. 2 of them didn't make it. It was a pretty bad deal. One of my really good buddies, he was part of that car wreck. I said, hey man, me and you, we have a standard that we want to hold. We have goals that we want to get to. We need to live together. Let's figure this out. We're both kind of down here on the bottom. Let's grind it out and let's make a statement. We can both make it to the NFR one day. We just have to put the work in, and you and I could hold each other accountable for whatever we have going on. And it was that day when he moved in. I drove to his house with my trailer. We moved all his junk in, and he moved in with me. And next thing you know, I mean, we both bought our permits in the PRCA. We were entering crazy rodeos. We were driving all the way to almost the East Coast. We were driving to Florida. We were kind of going everywhere. And our goals started to find light at the end of the tunnel. And from then on, it was like, you know what, we're gonna nail this education thing. We're gonna accomplish this goal and that goal, and we're gonna write our goals down on a list, and we're gonna check them off and check them off and check them off. By the time he was a year older than me, he went to school at Stephenville. The next year, I went to school down there, and I mean, the only things we haven't really accomplished yet was getting to those yellow bucket shoots in December, and it's coming. I mean, both of us have been striving and knocking goals off, and last we were both riding, we were riding the best that we could. It's really made a turning point for me having him come into my life, not only as a teammate, but as a sibling or a brother that lived in the same house, holding one another accountable as we did when we were in high school sports or whatever the realm was. You have somebody that's going to push you and hold you accountable for that. It'll turn your whole focus and your goals around to the positive. And that's what happened to me. You know, next thing I know, I get to my master's degree and I said, you know what, I'm going to get a 4.0. I bet I can do better than you. You know, it was almost a little bit competitive. We both graduate with a master's degree at a 4.0, and we both made the college finals both years that I was down there. And it was pretty incredible. You know, it was a great thing that happened, and we surrounded ourselves with the right people, and it changed both our lives for the positive.
Billy, I think of all the things that we talk about, you know, we're going to talk about today. I think you really spoke on the most important part of this podcast. I mean, if there's somebody young that's, how do I become Bailey? How do I chase my dreams? How do I get there? I think so many people don't realize that the people that quote unquote made it, or the people that are quote unquote successful, they just think that they've had nothing but just wins along the way. And literally, I haven't talked to a single successful person that hasn't at one point or another been down on their knees, like, I don't think I can do this, or I can't do this, or there's just no way, and have been at a low point and have had incredible setbacks and moments of massive self-doubt. And I just think it's super important for people, especially people your age. I mean, you're young and you represent a generation that's still figuring it out. I mean, I'm 55. I'm still figuring it out. I don't think you ever figure it out. But I think so many young people, you know, social media has its positive things. Social media has its negative things. One thing that I didn't have to deal with at your age is constantly watching people posting about their wins. And oftentimes those wins aren't even real wins, they're fake wins. They're just for likes or clicks or for to hold up this image that everybody's trying to portray, that they have it all figured out. They never make mistakes. They never have any failures, which is complete bullshit. We all know that anybody that is successful and has tasted success has tasted more defeat and more failure than they have tasted success and winning. And you have to go through that. And so many people I see are this close to getting, they don't realize how close they are, but they just quit. And the only way you really fail, in my mind, is just not pushing through that. And because if you quit, you're done. You're never, your dreams are never going to materialize, because how can they when you quit? And so I think the difference between the people that have great success like you've had and the people that don't is literally that extra push of, I love what you talked about, writing our goals down. So many people don't write your goals down. You have no idea how powerful that is. I mean, I do it in my personal life. Our business does it as on our whole leadership team. We just this week, Bailey, our leadership team met offsite for a couple of days and we set goals, 1, 3, and 5-year goals for the entire company. And we've been doing that about the last 10 years. And it's that and many other things, but it starts with setting those goals and setting those expectations for the whole team and for yourself, right? And I'm just so proud of you speaking of that and really reminding people that there's no shortcut to success. There's no quick way to the winner's circle. It's effort. It's getting your balls kicked in. It's being on your knees at times. It's fighting through pain. It's fighting through failure. It's getting back up every single day. And so I really, really appreciate you talking about that. And then just ending with 4.0 master 4. That's really special, Bailey. What was your degree in, your 4-year degree, and what is your master's degree in?
Yeah, so my bachelor's degree was in consumer science of agriculture under animal science. Yep. I actually got a couple minors, and like one was in chemistry and another one was in psychology along the way.
You got to be shitting me. You have a chemistry minor? Are you kidding me?
I don't think I could teach you or tell you anything about it, but it was the instructor was awesome. We grinded a lot of hours out in that lab just trying to figure out little things and this and that, and it was pretty neat. My master's degree was in consumer science of agriculture, so it guinea pigged off of my livestock production. So yeah. It was pretty cool. It was a great experience.
Yeah, that's incredible. Okay, so let's move to your PRCA, right? So now you've graduated with a master's degree. At what point did you go pro? Were you still, I don't know how college rodeo works. Can you be a pro card holder and be in college together, or does it have to be separate?
They are completely separate organizations. You can be a PRCA holder and in the NRA, which is the college collegiate. So the great thing about like being in college and the PRCA, they work really well together. And if I have a college card, which is a NIRA card, I can write that on the application for my PRCA permit. And as long as I am competing at the college level, I can stay on my permit, which is just saying that I'm not quite ready to go full out buy my rookie card or my PRCA card and go down the road. So it was really nice that they could work out together. Like, hey, this is a student athlete. He's not dedicating his full time to the PRCA. So I stayed on my permit until last year was my rookie year. So I finished college and then I decided to buy my card and go that route. So this year is my second year as a PRCA card holder.
Okay. So last year you were on a hell of a run there for a while, kid. I mean, a hell of a run. And at what point did you have an injury? I know, I want you to share kind of what the injury was and tell us about it, but did the injury kind of slowly happen, or was it just one event and you're like, I'm done? Or did you try and fight through an injury for a while at the end? Kind of tell us what happened last season.
Yeah. So I was, it had to have been August 27th, I believe it happened. I had been going, we were going to 2 rodeos a day, trying to grind it out. We had, like 30 more rodeos that we were allowed to go to, because there's 100 that you can go to in a year. And I was I was somewhere in the 20s. I want to say 28th or something in the standings.
Okay.
I needed to win another 40,000 to be in the top 15. I drew a really good horse in Pueblo, Colorado. I went and got on him, and I knew I made a good ride, and I decided that I would jump off. I jumped off, and when I hit the ground, I blew my knee out. I knew I blew it out. I stood up. I walked out of the arena, went straight into the medical trailer, and they said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I just blew my knee out." And I said, "I need a doctor's note." I got my phone. I'm calling my surgeon right now. So I texted my surgeon. It was a Sunday at like 6:00 at night. I texted him. He called me right back within an hour and scheduled an appointment for that Monday. I flew out of Denver straight to Texas, and he got me in quick. And it was September 10th. I had a surgery, and actually yesterday was a really big day at physical therapy. They just cleared me to go back to rodeo, and so I'm entered March 15th in Arcadia, Florida.
March 15th in Arcadia, Florida. Is that what you said? Amazing. So that's like 2.5 weeks away.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, there's so much there to unpack, but just before I forget, what do you do to prepare? You've been rehabbing, and then you're going to go get on this, 1,500-pound beast and let her rip, or what? How do you go from 0 back to 100? How does that work?
Yeah. So, I've been riding horses, roping and riding around, gathering some cows and doing little things like that, and trying to keep myself in shape the best I can. We call it a spur board. It's essentially two pieces of plywood put together that it stimulates a stationary horse. I put my saddle on it, and I just practice staying in the right body position with my upper body, and then my lower body. I want to continue to go through the motions in a stationary spot. And at that point, it's kind of muscle memory and making sure that you're in the proper position and everything like that. Now, coming to get on a bucking horse, I have plans to go down to Weatherford, Texas, maybe Stephenville, Texas, and I'm going to get on some practice horses, kind of get tuned back in. That way I don't jump straight into the Shark Tank and go after it. I'd like to get on a couple. That way I'm sharpened back up. I want to be a double-bladed knife instead of just a one edge on it.
Yeah. So you're going to do that before you go to Florida, or are you doing that after you go to Florida?
I'll do it before I go to Florida, probably like March 10th is kind of what I'm scheduling in.
Okay. And then so it's March 10th. So educate me on, you said we can do 100 rodeos. So is that the max that you're allowed to do in a year?
Yeah. So the PRCA, it holds, like, for the saddle bronc riding, you can go to 100 rodeos. And that's preserving is from somebody going to 200 rodeos and winning $200,000. Everybody can only go to 100 rodeos. You can go to 5 rodeos if you want, but 100 is the max. Yeah. And I think, like, some of the ropings events is like 65 rodeos. It's keeping guys from going to so many rodeos and winning money at 2,000 at rodeos. Instead, they are taking the top 15 out of 100 rodeos.
Understood. So when does that 100 rodeos, I imagine that there's some rodeos that pay better than other rodeos. So are you trying to hit the bigger ones that have the bigger checks, or is there more of a strategy going, actually the bigger ones, there's 100 competitors and it's better to go to the medium ones? Or is there like a strategy on how you map out the 100 that you're going to go to?
Absolutely. So it's kind of off of a qualification. I don't know what you would call it. It's like my qualifications being I finished 40th in the world. I'm in the top 50. I had so much money won. I'm held to where I can get into the majority of these rodeos. But now that
so you have to have a bit of a resume to even be allowed to enter.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Especially towards the bigger end rodeos. Like, just coming back, I'm going to try to enter the 10,000 added rodeos for the bronc riding, but more than likely I'll get into the 7,500 and lower. The Arcadia, Florida, they let me in on my preference day, which was the last day of the rodeo, and that's a 10,000 added rodeo, or $12,500 added rodeo. So being able to get my preference on the day that I wanted to go was really big. Last year I went to Arcadia, Florida. I got on a horse that was kind of scary. I was sitting in the bucking chute and they said, "Are you going to nod?" I said, "I'm scared." But I ended up making an awesome ride on him. I was 88 points and ended up splitting the rodeo with one of my traveling partners, Alan Bohr. So it was pretty neat. And I thought, you know what, if I have the opportunity to go again, I'm gonna go because I like that arena. I like the bucking horses that are there. The crowd's awesome, and who doesn't like going to Florida?
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. Dude, that's so cool. So I know you had to heal up. When does the official best rodeos start really hitting it hard? Is it in January or is it in March or where are you when that, are you feel like hey, I'm already 20 rodeos behind because I've been injured, or do you feel like I'm right where I need to be right now?
So that's kind of a mind trick there because like the Texas Swing, the guy that's winning the standings right now, he's at like almost $50,000 ahead of everybody, and that's a lot of money. But last year in the 25 season, there was a bareback rider that didn't go to a single rodeo until Reno. He goes to Reno, he goes to as many rodeos as he possibly can. He makes the NFR, and so I mean the Texas Swing is huge. You can win a lot of money out of the Texas Swing, Texas and Florida. The California Swing's coming. I mean, you're going to have Red Bluff and Salinas and Clovis, Oakdale. I mean, there's so many good rodeos out here, and
Mhm.
there's over 100 rodeos in the year that have over 10,000 added rodeo an event. So, there's in your mind you're thinking, "Oh, I'm behind," but really there's still so many rodeos with so much money added, and it's only getting bigger. So you just had to remind yourself, there's still so much opportunity to win plenty of money out there. Don't get in a hurry to go and pick and choose what stock contractors you want to enter their rodeos. Don't just go enter a podunk rodeo because you think you're behind. Like, have a purpose, write down your goals, mark those goals off one at a time, and then
Yeah.
if you make it to the top 15 in the end of the year, you do. If you don't, you know what, you're setting yourself up for the next year.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so well, one of the things that I wanted to really commend you on, Bailey, and I think that separates you from a lot of the professional rodeo athletes that I've seen is just how well spoken you are and how you really speak with authenticity, I guess is the best way to say it. I mean, you're just a real person. When you're naturally complimentary to people that have helped you. You were like, it's not about me, it's about, all the people have helped me get to where I am. You're very humble, and humility, I think, is a great trait for people to have. But you also have that competitiveness, that's like, hey, I gotta go. I'm competing every day, and you have to have that almost swagger or cockiness or whatever that is. And I think you just do a great job of balancing those two. And I'm just, every time I have seen you speak, after rodeo or in interviews and that kind of stuff, you just do a sensational job. And you're one of the people that people are naturally root for, if that makes sense. And I'm really excited for you to get going this season, and God willing, let's keep you healthy all freaking season. And I know you have to fight through a lot of stuff. So that's another thing I wanted to ask about. You've been a sports guy in football and, some of these sports that your actually body gets beat. And obviously rodeo is the top of the list of getting your body beat. So how do you manage taking care of your body as you're chasing these 100 rodeos too? Do you have like, here's plan A if I stay healthy, right? And then plan B is, I imagine there's like a parallel plan, like, hey, I need a couple weeks to let my body get right again and then back at it hard. Or do you like, no, in this sport, you have to ride hurt in order to, that's just what you do. Can you just talk about that a little bit? Because I don't have a great understanding of that. And I don't think the audience does either.
Yeah, so your main goal is to stay healthy. So you're going to do
Yeah.
absolutely everything you can. I mean, whether it's jogging in the morning or doing light workouts every day before you go, or one of my traveling partners, Zach Dallas, and we both try to hold each other to that standard of like, hey, let's do a stretch this morning. We'll do a little Bible study, and then we're going to do a stretch. And I think that tries to keep you the most physically sound as possible. But say something does happen and you're sore or you're hurting, I drew good. I've got the best horse of the 10. I'm not going to call it quits today because then you're quitting. You're not giving yourself the opportunity to win. And I think it was Michael Jordan says you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
If you're not
Yeah.
taking the shot, whether you're a little sore or not, you're not going to succeed. And, it's expensive to go up and down the road. There's got to be a time where you say, you know what, I'm too sore to be competitive and to win. So that's how that is. And that's when you have to decide, you know what, I'm not going to win because my body is too banged up. But I think you have to have the mental capacity to say, you know what, I've got it here, because as almost any sport, it's 90% your mind, knowing that your body can do it. You just have to beat yourself mentally to say, you know what, I can do it. Have that confidence level that I got this. Have the backing in your corner saying, hey, you want to be a quitter today? Quit, go home and make it easier on us.
Right. Yeah. No, it's so true. I mean, that's what's so beautiful about, I think, just about any sport, is the people that don't compete in sports don't recognize how mental everything is. It's just, everyone thinks, well, I wasn't given this God-given, incredible athletic body or whatever. Yeah, certainly some people are more blessed than others, right? However, I'll tell you, some of the most incredible athletes I've ever played against, or seen my kids play against, have been the kids that had average athletic talent, but had that competitive kill, there's nothing I can't accomplish mentality as they enter whatever arena they're entering. And just what some of those kids have done has just been a great example for all those people that have the excuses of, well, I wasn't gifted with whatever. Well, you can change your mindset. That's something you can control. And that mindset entering every arena and really believing it. It's a huge mental game, as you know. So yeah, I'm really glad you spoke to that, because that's so freaking true. So true. So, you said a little bit of Bible study, some stretching, like, hey, I'm getting ready. So I'm climbing on this scary horse. What is your mindset? What are you telling yourself as you're climbing on and getting ready to, go experience incredible violence and adrenaline and all those things? What are you telling yourself to prepare yourself mentally as you go out into the arena?
Yeah, so every time you draw a horse, you have like a week before the competition. You can look it up. You can find some videos, or you can call so and so that had got on it and kind of see what they did on like the rein measurement and stuff like that. When I grab a hold of my rein and I'm about to crawl over the chute, I close my eyes. I picture the perfect go at it. I mean, I've done that since I was in junior high school. I close my eyes. I picture it as perfect as it could possibly be. I open my eyes, I get on, and I go do what I just envisioned, because the last thing that's in my mind is perfect. Like there was no room for error on what I just pictured with my eyes closed. I'm going to go do what I just seen. And
Yeah.
that's been the biggest help for me, is picturing it and doing it. Sometimes things don't go exactly how you pictured it, but you're gonna keep mashing on the gas pedal and getting it to where it is like that. And it all happens, I mean, faster than you can
So
snap your
fast.
fingers. But
Yeah. Yeah. What you just described is so beautiful, because that's positive visualization. So basically you're visualizing the perfect run and the perfect bucking horse, and, a perfect score, and everything going absolutely your way. And there's nothing that's going to prepare your body than your mind telling, this is what we're about to go do. So yeah, I'm just, again, really impressed that, that's the Olympic athletes talk about that exact same thing. But whatever it is, what they're getting ready to do, they visualize ahead of time the perfect run. So yeah, that's amazing. Good job, bud. Okay.
I kind of
So
feel like if you put yourself in a negative mindset, then you're beating yourself before you even start. You're
100%.
allowing negativity to conquer what's potentially possible. So for me, I just want to grind it out, put positive things in my mind, and that's the last thing I want to see before I nod my head and go for the best possible outcome that you can have.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we're kind of nearing the end of the time we have here today, Bailey. So is there anything that's important to discuss that we need to talk about before we part here?
That's a pretty open question.
Is there anything, but is there anything that you wanted to make sure we talked about that I might have missed so far, Bailey?
Not that I'm aware of. I dang sure want to say thank you to everybody that does stand behind me and continues to push me, whether it's a community member or a family member or a sponsor or somebody that's helped me in the past, like a coach or something. They've pushed me when they were with me, and they continue to push me after. And having that support, it fills your heart up, that there's people supporting you and community members and businesses, family members that continue to push you, and they keep your mind sharp and they just want to see you succeed. And that that's pretty important to me, because the amount of people that have allowed me to stand in my corner has been incredible. They've helped me incredibly amounts in life and in and out of the arena. So I just want to say thank you to those people.
That's amazing. So share with us what's the best way for us to follow along on your journey? Was there a good website that you can follow with your name? What's the best way to keep up with your journey this season?
I would say the best way to go about it is my Facebook. I try to post where
Okay.
I'm going when I'm going there.
Yep.
And I'm not the best at it. I don't have a media manager. I kind of get caught up whether we're driving through the night and then sleeping and getting on, or whatever the deal is. But I try to keep a schedule posted on there for when I'm going and what my plans are. You can watch it on the Cowboy Channel on whatever rodeo I'm going to, like Arcadia,
Yep.
Florida. It will be on the Cowboy Channel, which that'll be March 15th. That's about it. If I can keep posted on Facebook, or somebody shares it or something and I reshare it, I think that's the best way to go about it, because sometimes I enter 10 rodeos and I only go to 8 of them. It's trying to keep it mapped out for people to keep up with me is not always the easiest for me. I'm not that tech savvy, but
Right.
I would say that's the best way.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say you're great. You're savvy at the important things, which is riding that damn horse. I don't know how you do it. And then speaking to people and just talking about your passion for the sport. And I just want to tell you how proud I am of you really chasing your dreams. I tell young people all the time, go for it. You don't have a mortgage. You don't have kids to support, and you're going to have those someday. So right now, go all in. There's no hesitation. The only thing in life that people regret are the things that they didn't do. Not what they did and failed at, or they shouldn't. They should be regretting the things that they didn't even try. So good for you for being out there and setting such a great bar for all of us. And I'm just so proud of you, buddy. And I really, really appreciate you taking the time and spending some time with us. And we're going to be cheering for you this entire journey, watching the Cowboy Channel and Bailey Small's Facebook page. So again, thanks for spending time with us today, and really excited for your journey.
Well, thanks for having me today.